order the planning board meeting of May 4th, 2021. We'll do an audible roll call. Stu Hardy.
Here.
Oh, Amanda just stepped away. Janice Gomes. Not Janice Gomes. Yeah, Janice Gomes. Amanda Souza Vieira.
Here.
Christine Che.
Here.
Rosemary Eva.
Here.
And I'm Susan Gill, the chairman, with us tonight. Oh, so members absent so far are Adam Raposa and Peter Bramonti. They may appear at some point. So if they do, we can bring them on screen. We also have Travis DaCosta as the town solicitor this evening, and we have Kelly Ravenel as our steer engineering consultant. And we have Jennifer Siciliano as the town planner and administrative officer. So I think I've got everybody. Oh, I think it's Rick Rogers. I saw he was here also. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the first item. It's Douglas DeSimone Douglas Enterprises Limited, release of Surety, Harbor Ridge, Plat 118, Lot 304. Southside Hayden Avenue, R30 and R60 zoning districts, discussion and possible vote. See, we have Mr. DeSimone here this evening. So we hadn't received any new written information, but I received an email at 4:30 this afternoon from Mike Marcello with his recommendation for action on this. I'll let Travis, if you go ahead and want to review that for the members.
Essentially, yeah, Mike sent an email around regarding releasing, he would recommend releasing the surety. Essentially, the surety was initially retained to take care of the street. The street has now been an accepted road by the town. There also is a homeowners association set up. Definitely understand the fact that there hasn't been a resident that has stepped up to get put on the formal docs, at least on the Secretary of State's website. But the money was to take care of the road, but the road has now been accepted. And Mr. Marcello's position is that there's no reason to retain it at this time.
Okay. So as long as I guess the town understands that it's kind of in limbo at this point, who has responsibility for the road. I guess Mr. DeSimone has resigned as an officer of the Homeowners Association, and the homeowners have not signed on yet. But it seems like it's out of our purview at this point. So with that, I don't know, Mr. DeSimone, do you have any comments you want to make, or are you just here to listen? You have to unmute if you wanted to say something. Okay, I guess he's just here to listen. Okay, so it was a $15,000 surety for the Harbor Ridge roadway, and I guess also Rick Rogers, DPW, you have also signed off on all the work that remained outstanding. Is that correct? Rick.
That's correct, Susan.
Okay. So we have the blessing of the town, the acceptance of the road by the town. We have DPW signing off. The solicitor is recommending that, that we release the surety. So at this point, I don't know if there's any other discussion by any members or questions you have.
I just have a quick question. I see Doug DeSimone is here, as well as Rick Rogers. In addition to the road, there are two drainage basins or drainage retention areas that will require some maintenance in the future, but probably not a heck of a lot. Rick or Doug, do you have any comments on that? I see that as something that the Homeowners Association would want to put on their agenda to keep track of.
What we did is, sorry, Rick.
Maybe you're still muted.
Yeah, I don't know who wants to talk, Rick or Doug?
Well, Doug was talking. For whatever reason, it's a little choppy on the internet tonight for some reason, but it's DPW's understanding that the homeowners association will be performing the required maintenance on the retention, detention basins, all the stormwater mitigation. And I don't know if you heard my earlier answer, Susan, but DPW has, as far as DPW is concerned, the road has been constructed, and we're willing to, we think the surety should be released. I don't know if you heard my earlier answer.
Yeah, you came through then.
Thank you, Rick. Then I'm prepared to make the motion to.
Excuse me.
Oh, go ahead, Rosemary.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Stu, but I think it's been past practice of the planning board not to release any monies until we have a homeowners association in effect, and we don't have one now. I mean, an active one. So I would rather see whoever that Mr. Paul, I don't know if he's on tonight or what, until we get a document from them. But that's my preference. And I think this would set a very bad precedent for us, even though Rick has signed off, everybody signed off. I think the planning board will be holding we've had a lot of black eyes along the route here. So that's just my preference. I'm sorry, Stu.
That's the other side of the coin.
I actually withdraw my motion. I understand what Rosemary is saying.
Now, my question is either for Jennifer or Travis. So once we release this surety, whose responsibility will it be to follow up that the homeowners association is formed and filed and managed? Because basically it takes the planning board. I mean, I think after this, would we totally be, I assume we're out of the picture. So
we are, and the homeowners association is formed. It's
right.
So we can't say it's not formed. It is formed.
It just doesn't have officers filed.
Mr. DeSimone has resigned as his position, but the homeowners association is formed, and it's, I mean, I don't really understand the legal basis we have for retaining him to Mr. DeSimone's charity funds at this time. The road's accepted.
Is the homeowners association registered with the Secretary of State?
Yes.
And who are the officers?
It was all DeSimone. There's no one else named on it.
So who would follow up to make sure?
Not to disagree with.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, not to disagree with Rosemary, but I think it's a good idea in the future, if, as long as it's legally acceptable by Travis or Mike, that the surety does include the requirement for an HOA, but DPW's opinion on this surety is there was only a few items listed, and those have all been taken into account. So the surety should be released by DPW. In the future, there should be parameters to, make an HOA, part of the surety, and the maintenance of the street lights, the decorative street lights, the stormwater mitigation, etc. That should be seriously considered for the future.
Now,
Can
Doug, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Jennifer,
Is Victoria and Stevens, have they resigned, or are they still on?
They have all resigned. Can I just jump in for a second? Unfortunately, well, first let me say this. Every single thing that the town ever asked me to do, I did. Without arguments. Every single thing. To my knowledge, there have been no issues at all with any construction on that place, and it's been done for 2 years. and it was done right. Okay? So there was a point in time, I was not the original developer who got this approved. So there was a point in time when I bought the property and was developing it, and the planning board wanted to have a corporation formed to control the homeowners association. I recommended against that. It's a really bad idea, because this is what happens. I cannot file any papers for this association anymore. I can't do it. In point of fact, I really kind of stretched it by filing the last stuff to get the new good standing certificate there, okay? So you shouldn't do this. You should have an unincorporated association so homeowners don't have to file papers. They don't have to pay fees. They don't have to do any of it. These people out here are all good people, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're maintaining the basins. I actually drove out there last week. They've got a guy they're paying to cut the basins. That's really all that needs to be done. Everything is operating properly. But having a corporation instead of an unincorporated association is a hassle for homeowners. And this is what you have. So I'm sorry about it. I really am. But Susan, I'm going to tell you, I told you not to do this. I told you. So this is what happens because they're good people and they take care of their property, but it's an administrative hassle. That's all it is. And it negatively impacts me, not you, because you've had my money for two years longer than you should have. So I can't do anything to help you at this point. If I could, I would. I already did. I already went back. There was I turned the affairs of the association over to them. It's almost 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half. So, I really can't do anything. I've sent you my letters of resignation, and you have communications from the new president, because they elected a new president, and that's Paul, who, by the way, is a very, very competent guy. But, I can't control I can't file papers to the Secretary of State any longer. Okay? So right now, the corporation exists, is in good standing. All of its fees are paid. If there was a problem out there, the municipality has legal recourse against it because it exists and is in good standing. But I can't promise you it's going to be in good standing forever because I can't file these papers. And this happens all the time when homeowners associations are incorporated. So I'm just suggesting to you in the future, if you don't want to have this problem, have an unincorporated association, which will consist of all the homeowners, and you don't have a problem. So that's just my suggestion to you, but I would greatly appreciate it if you could return to me my money. I would also suggest to you that even if something went wrong with that road right now, you couldn't take my money because the road has been accepted by the town. It's yours. It is now your responsibility. So you're holding my money for absolutely no reason. You can't even use it. So I would appreciate it if you could return it. And I'm sorry for this because I enjoyed working with everybody in the town. Everybody was great. The building officials, there were several. And the public works was great. And if Rick asks me to do something, he'll tell you, I just did it. But now there's nothing left for me to do.
Unfortunately, Doug, it was great working with you too, but you didn't get Paul to file the paperwork. And as far as what type of HOA. We've always left our solicitors review whatever's been presented to them. I mean, so we take their word for it. However, it's been the policy of this board for many, many years. Have the council accept the road, send it back to the planning board, then the planning board releases the money if it's been incorporated with the current owners, or residents rather. I can tell you several that we've.
That's all been done, Rosemary.
It hasn't been done.
Oh, no, it's been done. It's all done.
Paul is not the president.
It's incorporated. It's in good standing. I've resigned. Once I've resigned, I cannot file new papers. I can't do that.
I understand, but you could use some leverage on him, couldn't you?
He doesn't really have anything that he can do to force anybody to file anything at this stage. I don't.
Aside from that, he's my customer.
Jennifer, did you have a comment? Yeah, you had your hand up.
I was just going to say, though, if the papers were changed and Paul became the director, it doesn't stop them from defaulting in a year or two. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with Doug.
The entity is formed, so the entity is a nonprofit corporation formed. The people that are its arms and legs are not as important as the fact that the entity is there. So if you wanted an incorporated entity, we have that. Whether it says Doug DeSimone as incorporator or Paul whatever wouldn't change the position at all right now.
I'm gonna have to agree with Travis and Mr. Rogers and Doug in saying, I'm so sorry, my phone's ringing. The company is in good standings. He has resigned. To me, personally, I don't see any issue with us releasing the money. And I'm sure I don't have the most popular opinion on the board right now. But to me, I don't see any issues.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Now I'm at the point too. I mean, I think, you know, where the step got missed was when it went to the council. It should have been changed hands by then. So that's no fault of Doug's. The fact that the town has accepted the road, I don't think we have a reason to hold his money anymore. I just don't know whose responsibility. I think it's not the planning board's responsibility to make sure the homeowners association gets filed and is enforced at this point. So I think I agree. I think it's probably unfair to withhold this money any further, because it wouldn't be able to be used for the road. So, and that was the point of it, was to use it for the final repairs on the road if he didn't hold up his end of it, but he did. So, you know, I'm at the point where I think it's time to move forward, and then whether it's the solicitor or the planner or DPW, whoever's responsibility it is to make sure this homeowner association, that the directors get filed correctly, is really kind of out of our hands at this point. It's the town's issue at this point, or DPW's issue at this point. So, and I think once again, I want to see if someone's willing to make a motion to release the $15,000 surety to Douglas Enterprises Limited.
I'll make the motion.
And that would be, if someone would be willing to entertain.
I'll second Amanda.
Amanda.
Oh, I'm sorry, Christine. Go
Is there
ahead.
a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. What's that? Sorry, who's
Christine
seconded?
seconded.
Christine, okay.
Sorry, I'm
I have
losing
the-
internet. Yes, I'm seconding.
Okay, sorry, I don't have good internet tonight, so things are cutting in and out too. So we have a motion and a second to release the $15,000 surety to Douglas Enterprises. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll have to go ahead and take the vote. Stu?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes. Oh.
Yes.
Janice said
Yes.
Janice, you said yes?
Yes.
Okay, Christine,
Yes.
Rosemary,
Abstain.
and I'm a yes. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 yeses and 1 abstain. Okay. All right, Mr. DeSimone, good luck
Yes,
to you,
Susan.
and we'll,
Susan, be
I
assured,
guess Jennifer will take care of the paperwork to get that money returned to you.
Susan, be assured I'll be in contact with Paul and try to assist him in filing these papers.
Thank you, Doug.
I've already done that, but I'll continue. Thank you very
I
much.
think I've frozen.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
All done.
Okay, thank you. All right. I don't know, am I cutting in and out a lot? Because I'm hearing a lot of audible cutting in and out. So I don't know. If I totally freeze up, I'll just have to restart my computer, and hopefully I'll get a good connection. All right, so we'll go on to the next item. Number 2 is Peter Van Jeffries and Pamela Thompson, environmental review statement, 47 Neck Road Garage, Plat 706, lot 114, 47 Puncateest Neck Road, north side Neck Road, west of Main Road, R80 and Nonquit Pond Watershed Overlay Districts, review and possible vote. This is continued from April 13, 2021 meeting. Okay, so who is here? Oh, Mr. Jeffries and Todd Chaplin, I believe are the 2 people here. You just want to introduce yourselves for the record, please? Todd and Mr. Jeffries.
Hi, Todd Chaplin, Mount Hope Engineering, on behalf of Mr. Jeffries.
Okay. And Mr. Jeffries, if you want to just introduce yourself for the record.
I'm the applicant, and I'm here to hear the hearing. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right. So from the last session, there were a number of items that were to be addressed. We'll say steer engineering comments. So I don't know if either Jennifer or Kelly, if you want to go over the revised plans that were submitted and the things that needed to be addressed. Or Todd, actually, why don't you go through the items that you changed on the revised plan? That might make more sense.
Well, we changed
I don't know. Oh, sorry, just a second. Todd, if either you or Jennifer can put the plan up on share screen, somebody? Yeah, that's good, thanks. Just that helps a lot. So we're all talking about the same thing. Okay.
Thank
you.
We changed the name of the road to Neck Road as per Ms. Eva's request. And essentially, the rest was mostly minor items in this steer review. A couple of changes to some notes about sequence of operation. A stockpile area was added to the plan. We showed silt fence around the stockpile area. They asked for the well radius around the well to be shown, a bar scale on the plan. Silt fence called out in the legend. Clarify some existing proposed contours. And then we corrected a few typos in the environmental review statement itself. So I think we've addressed all of the minor comments from steer or the board and resubmitted the plans.
Okay. Kelly, do you have any comments?
Nope, other than we looked at obviously the plan and the revised ERS statement, and we highlighted everything so it looked like they addressed every minor comment we had satisfactorily.
Okay. I just had a couple of questions. One was just to clarify, does it need to be washed crushed stone or is crushed stone adequate? I know in the past it's been specified to be washed crushed stone. If that's
believe
clear or if it,
the single family stormwater document specifies just crushed stone.
doesn't have to be washed. Okay, and then another question was, because I know Stu had talked about doing the trade-off of 300 square feet of, since you were changing the total impervious coverage by 300, increasing it by 300. So I don't know if you have kind of that, I didn't see where it was indicated, kind of the approximate 300 square feet that you're going to be, I guess, replacing it with. I don't know if that's on the plan and I just didn't see it, or if you can just.
We didn't do the math on it for the 300 square feet, but where the stockpile area is shown on the plan now is currently part of the existing gravel driveway, and that's going to become grass going forward. So,
So Todd, could you show us that on the map?
Where that, like that triangle area?
right there, right. There's a green triangle right there. Exactly.
So that is
more than that, you just by observation, you can see that area is essentially the same size as the whole new garage. So. Oh
yeah. And right now it's impervious because it's piled with, what is it piled with, Todd? Stone?
Yeah, that's a hard packed gravel driveway now.
Oh, okay. And that's going to be a grassed area.
Correct.
Excellent. So that I'm very happy that you did that. I think that makes a big improvement. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. And then my only other question was where you have the silt fence, it's all along the, what is that, the north side of it? I don't know, Kelly, is that adequate for protection of the watershed? I mean, that's primarily where the work area is in the downhill. It doesn't extend around. So you're okay with that?
We show the silt fence surrounding the entire stockpile area.
Right. Okay. I know, it's just, I guess looking at the driveway area, I mean, we can't put it across the driveway, but I don't know if anything would run down. I mean, we're just really, trying to protect Nonquit Pond is our end goal. So with that, I know, does any other members of the board have any other questions about any of the items that are on this revised plan or in the ERS itself? I don't know if I'm frozen, if nobody can anybody hear me? I don't know if I'm frozen.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I don't think anyone's commenting.
I know, it's like everybody else's screen looked frozen. That's why I go, I don't know what's happening. I get, this is why I shouldn't do it from home, is because my internet's not good enough. But.
So Susan.
Yes.
At our last meeting, Mr. Jeffries and Todd were both present, and that was the first time they had actually come before the planning board. And we kind of decided that it would be best to bring them back, since it wasn't a terribly long period between our last meeting and a 2-week period and this meeting, just to make those corrections. They've made all of the corrections that they were asked to make on the plan, and also a couple of typo corrections on the environmental review statement itself. And voluntarily, they agreed to compensate for the increased impervious cover related to the new garage by giving us this quite large stockpile area and changing that from impervious gravel, which is hard pan gravel, to the crushed stone, washed stone, which is what we've been told to ask for by our consulting engineer. And so I'm very happy. I apologize to the applicant for the delay. And I think we've got a great plan going forward. So I think what we need to do tonight is nothing more than to accept the ERS. So the planning board needs to accept the environmental review statement, and then Mr. Jeffries can get on with construction of the new garage. So I would like to make a motion, Madam Chair, if that's in order at this time, to make a motion to accept the ESA.
The ERS?
I'm the ERS. I'm sorry. The environmental review statement.
Well, I'll second your motion. This is
Thank you.
Rosemary. And it's bringing it back to the way it used to be in the 50s and 60s.
Am I back? Am I back now?
So Susan, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. I know, it's like it totally cut out on me. So you're saying, are we ready to take a vote? Sorry.
I think we're ready to take a vote unless anybody has any comments. And what we're voting on is simply to
I'm sorry,
accept
this is
the
awful. My internet's
environmental
terrible.
review statement. Susan, would you like me to take over as chair for a few minutes while you resolve your?
Just, can you call? Yeah, can you call?
Okay.
Well, if you can just call. Yeah, if you can just call for the vote.
Okay. So if no one has any further comments, I would like to entertain. Well, actually, I've made a motion to accept the environmental review statement. And so I need a second. Oh, we have a second, I believe.
Rosemary seconded.
Rosemary seconded it. We asked for comments. There were no further comments. If there are no further comments, then I would like to run through the people who are present. So Amanda.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Susan is nodding yes. Christine.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know if it came through. Yes.
Rosemary.
Yes.
Janice.
Yes, thank you, Janice. I couldn't see you on my screen. So, and I think that's all, correct? I don't see anybody else. Peter Bramante is not here, and Adam is not here. So then we have 6 yes. Rosemary, did I call on you?
Yes, you did.
Yes. Okay. So we have 6 yeses, and so we have now approved the environmental review statement. And I would like to thank Mr. Jeffries and Mr. Chapin for their assisting us by doing everything we asked and more. And I'd like to wish them the best of luck and look forward to their new garage. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
This agenda item is ended.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your support.
All right, yeah.
So
Thank you. Stu, I'm going to try and do it
Sure.
without the video. I've been told that sometimes if you just do the audio, that might can hold the connection a little
That's what I had
better.
last
So we'll
time.
go with that for now. Yeah, so I guess I'll try that. I don't know. Is I guess Bill Smith here yet? Has he arrived? Because I guess he was in
Yes.
Compton tonight.
Yeah,
So,
he
no,
hasn't.
Mark DeMello's here, but we don't have.
you should, if you can, probably move on to the next agenda item.
You want to? Okay, so we will go, all right, so
I'll
we
make,
will.
I'll make
go-
a motion that we
since,
take the
Bill Smith
agenda
is
out
not
of
here
order.
yet. All right, go to the administrative officer report item.
Yes,
Um,
I have not finished that. And I am getting a new assistant on Friday, so I'm very excited about that.
All right, so you have March and April, right? You don't have March?
Yes, I don't. I don't.
March. Okay, so we have March and April that will be coming forward. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so is there
Did you-
anything that you want to verbally just?
Sure. I can mention that
written.
Tiverton Heights has submitted a preliminary plan, which they're still in review for a certificate of completeness. They're still in the process of making sure that they gave me everything. They have not gotten DEM approval yet, but they did submit lots of other materials. Brayton Solar has also submitted a preliminary plan, and that is a further agenda item for an ad hoc TRC, so that we can do design development plan review as well as the preliminary plan. And then bill sales will be coming as well. There is a preliminary plan for that, and they have a certificate of completeness. That has already, you've already appointed an ad hoc committee for the TRC last summer, and the people are still here. So we have to appoint those, but that will hopefully be happening soon for Brayton. And in June, we will be having the public hearing for bill sales. I also have gotten paperwork for Surety for Advantage Storage. I actually spoke to Dave Martland today, and they have a few items that they still have to finish up before they record the Advantage Storage. So there's a lot of stuff going on. That's it.
Okay, you want to tell them about Northborough?
Oh, sorry, yes. So Northborough appealed the planning board's decision and filed with the zoning board, which acts as the planning board of appeals. There's a certain time frame that appeals have to be heard, which is before the end of May. So there is a special zoning board hearing happening the end of May. I believe it is either the 26th or the 27th of May. That will be happening. And I will review their application and make sure that it has the minutes from the planning board meeting in which they're appealing.
So I have a quick question. I looked up on the Secretary of State's website to look at the agenda for that upcoming Zoning Board of Review meeting later this month, I think May 25. And it referred to the decision being made by the planning board, the decision that the amendment to the Northborough final plan was a major change rather than a minor change. It referred to that decision being made on March 30th, where did that date come from? Because we actually made that decision in an early February meeting. So where did the March 30 date come from? And could that pose a procedural problem with the petition? Is March 30th the date when the decision was actually, when a written decision was actually dated? Is that how the March 30 came along? Because I haven't seen any written decision.
Okay, so the written decision was written by the solicitor, Mr. Marcello. And I believe that the time of the appeal starts on the day that the decision was recorded. I'm gonna look up fast on the land use records. Let's see.
And I reviewed it and I signed it. My signature's on it because it came from the planning board, although Mike Marcello wrote the decision for legal reasons. I still request that decision get distributed to all planning board members so you're aware of what it says prior to the zoning board appeal. So Jennifer can make sure that gets out to everybody.
So I guess we still don't know. My original question was, why March 30th? Why does the Zoning Board of Review agenda say that the decision was made on March 30th? But if no one can answer that question, that's fine. I withdraw it.
No, I think it's a good question, Stu. And maybe Travis could shed some light on it. He's here.
Jen, go ahead, Jen.
It was recorded it says on the 31st of March. So like I mentioned before, when it was recorded, when the decision is recorded is when the appeal period starts. So I'm not.
Isn't it 20 days, Jennifer? From the
20 days from your planning
time it's been recorded.
It's supposed to be done within 20 days of the planning board's decision.
Written decision.
Right.
Okay. Oh, and then if everybody's done with that, then the last thing, Jennifer, if you can comment on is the ad hoc meeting for the ceramics.
Oh, yeah.
You said you had an ad hoc.
We did meet. Geez. We met that Friday, that Monday, I believe. I will definitely write up some notes. I recorded the meeting, and I wish Christine was there as well as.
I don't know if you could, yeah, what kind of things were discussed.
Yeah, Christine, do you feel comfortable mentioning what kind of changes we discussed?
Yeah, so I think we wanted them to add grills to the side door to make it match more of a historical look. And we moved windows around to do the same thing. We took out that bay window on the side elevation, and we added trim boards on the lower half, like trim corner boards on the lower half of the building to again kind of tie into the buildings around it. And I think those were all the changes we made.
So Christine, I drove by there on Sunday and I noticed that the front windows are much improved over what they looked like in the plans that we were shown. So you made some progress there, I think. Have you seen it lately?
No, but I will definitely go look.
It actually looks quite nice. I was really impressed.
Great.
So I'd like to just thank both you and Peter Primonte for for working with the architect and the owner to make these cosmetic but important changes that make the building blend in more with its historic neighbors. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
I think that's,
Yeah, is there anything else?
so the town council is also looking into, doing a possible zoning ordinance and or licensing of Airbnbs. That's something else that I've been researching to help the town as well.
They haven't had any further discussion which track they're gonna go yet.
No, I have not heard. I have just collected some zoning ordinances from different towns, but that doesn't mean that they might not just go for a licensing. Newport has licensing for Airbnbs and other short-term rentals.
Right, so just to explain to people, I think if it just becomes a matter of licensing, it will stay at the town council level. I think what Jeffers alluding to is if it becomes a zoning ordinance, then it would be something that should be referred to the planning board, and we'd have to craft some kind of ordinance for Airbnbs and short-term stay stuff. I think is how it should work. Yeah. So I guess the council hasn't decided yet which route they're gonna go.
Right.
Right, okay, all right. Anything else you can think of? That's all like that. That's a lot of big.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of big projects, so. Okay, all right, I don't see, yeah, just let me know if Bill shows up and we'll go on. So we'll go on to the planning board items. So the first one are the minutes from March 16th, 2021. Everybody's got those. If anybody's got comments or questions. Rosemary, did you have something?
No.
Oh, okay. My question was on, let's see, page 7. It was item D, where it talks about the checklist and subdivision regulations. I think just for historical reference, there's nothing in there that identifies which subdivision regulations we went through and approved. I don't know if there's a way you could go back and, I don't know if you need to identify all of them, but somehow the text to just so we know which things we approved in this group, you know, so it's in there. There's some way you can do that. And then the other thing is, I know Tara wrote these, but then she's not here to sign them. I don't know if you want to, I know we've had this happen before. I don't know if they should be signed by you. I don't know if you want Tara's name on there somewhere, but it seems like your name needs to be on there because you'll be submitting them. So it's just however you want to work
That's fine.
However you want to work that, because Tara's not here to sign them, and it wouldn't be appropriate probably now anyway, since she's not employed here. So however you want to work that, so.
Right. So whatever you want to approve, I'll listen to the meeting for that short period of time and put what you had approved. Like.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I know it was that whole package, but yeah, I don't know if there's a way you can write a quick summary or I mean, just identify them so we know.
Yes.
Yeah, looking back. Okay. Does anybody else have any edits or comments or questions? Okay, so is there a motion to accept the minutes as to be amended? Anybody?
So moved.
Okay, Janice. Thank you, Janice. Is there a second?
Second from Rosemary.
Rosemary, okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the March 16, 2021 minutes. We'll go through and do the vote. Stu,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Let's see, Christine, you weren't there, so you don't vote on them. Rosemary?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, so that's 5, and I guess that means Christine Shea abstains. So all right, thank you. And we don't have the April.
We don't have, I'm about halfway through
Okay, all right.
minutes.
Right, okay. April 13th, so those will carry forward. Okay, so item B is the appointment of an ad hoc technical review committee, discussion and possible vote on Brayton Solar. So as she mentioned, that plan has been submitted. This is a large, just for everybody, this was a 101 acre parcel. Once these 3 or 4 parcels are combined, it's 55 acres of solar that was approved at master plan. It was a pretty extensive project that we reviewed. So what we need to do is, I think in talking to Jennifer, it was like once she got certified would be to set up the ad hoc technical review committee to go through the plan and any issues, kind of get those cleaned up before it comes to the planning board. So that hopefully speeds up the process when it's on our agenda. So,
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
yeah,
Could I ask, I hate to interrupt, but could I ask a question? There was a death of one of the principals. Has that been gone over, Jennifer? Maybe you could shed some light on it.
Yes, I believe there's 3 owners of, yes. The estate has taken over the property and they submitted the paperwork, all 3 of the owners of the different parcels.
Because Mrs. Brayton died, so I'd hate to see us do all this work and then have some snafu in there. That's good. Thank you. I'm sorry, Susan.
that's all right. So Jennifer, who all, in addition to planning board members?
Yes, who wants to be on the TRC of the planning board or?
Well, I would like to be on it because I'm familiar with it from the master plan stage. You can take a couple more people if there's somebody that reviewed it or somebody wants to be on it new. I mean, I think, was it the fire department would be involved, building, zoning, DPW. Trying to think of who else might be critical. Oh, Steer would be a member.
Steer.
Yeah, Steer would be a member of it. So because all the engineering needs to be done for stormwater and all that on the preliminary plan.
Yes.
Yeah. So is there any other board member that would be interested to participate in the ad hoc?
I'll go. Rosemary.
Okay.
All right.
Did put 100 feet salamander boundary around some of the areas, which I guess was discussed at previous meetings.
Well, there were a number of conditions. When we approved the master plan, it was a conditional approval of the master plan. And as I recall, there were 8 conditions. And some people on the planning board now were not on the planning board, I believe, when we did conditionally approve the master plan for Brayton Road Solar. It's a huge project.
Yes.
It's twice the size of our 2 existing solar projects put together. So I think we need to distribute to the members of the planning board not only the minutes where we set those conditions and had a broad discussion about where we'd like to see the project go, but also I think we need to see the the written master plan decision. This was before Jennifer came on board, so maybe Susan wrote that. I'm not
I'm
sure.
not sure or if it was Matt. I know, it might have been Matt.
It might have been Matt.
Might have been Matt.
It might well have been Matt, but
Yeah.
we have it somewhere, and so
Right. Yeah, that'll definitely be part of the initial packet for distribution. Yeah, so everybody knows what happened at master plan. That's really important.
So do we need a motion to approve the new appointees to the ad hoc technical review committee for Brayton Solar? Would you like me to make a motion, Susan?
Yeah, because it says discussion and possible vote, so we do need to vote.
Yeah, I think we should vote to appoint. So I would like to approve the technical review committee that was discussed, and that would include the fire department, the DPW department, building and zoning, as well as the planning department. And it would also involve Steer Engineering. And there were several members of the planning board who volunteered. I heard Rosemary volunteer. And Amanda, did I hear you volunteer?
I believe I did, yeah.
So Rosemary, Amanda, and of course Susan as our chair is de facto a member of the. So did I miss anybody, Susan?
No, I think that was it. Yeah, I missed Amanda. I guess I didn't catch that. Okay.
So those members are appointed and would be appointed if we pass this this motion.
Okay, so that's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Janice. Okay, so the motion is second to appoint Rosemary, Amanda, and myself to the ad hoc TRC along with the other members, headed by Jennifer. So we have to do the vote. Stu?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Rosemary?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, great. Thank you.
Any idea, Jennifer, when that will be coming up?
Probably in the next week or two.
Okay.
I hope to get it done before the next meeting in June. So.
Okay. All right, I saw a phone number in the participant. I don't know if that's Bill Smith. Can you check? I guess Jennifer, find out if it is. We can go back to that. Back to him.
Yeah.
Right.
There's kind of no way I can ask that person without allowing them.
I think that's how he usually comes on, isn't it? As a phone number.
Is the phone number? Okay, I will allow.
I'm thinking so.
He was at Court Chappelle's office the last time we saw him, wasn't he?
Yeah, but this isn't allowed to talk.
I guess, yeah, find out who that is. Can you identify 4911 phone number? Who you are?
Unmute yourself.
I believe it's stars.
Hello.
Oh, great.
It's Mark
Hi.
Camello.
This is Mark Miller.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought maybe for Bill Smith. You not here yet?
Right, we're waiting for Bill. Bill should be shortly.
Okay. All right. We'll keep going with the rest of the stuff. We wanted to wait.
Yeah, I was just trying to watch it at the same time, and I can't see. I mean, I can see two of you, like just I can't see myself in that. So.
Okay. All right. Hang on. As soon as Bill gets here, we'll bring you forward. Okay.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. I guess we'll go back to item 5C, the fiscal year 2021-22 fees and escrow discussion and possible vote. Okay. So what happened last year was we proposed and voted on some revisions in our fee and escrow schedule, and it never got to the council and advertised. So basically what we've still been working under are the 2019-20 fee schedule and escrow schedule. So what I did was I included what was proposed in 2021, even though it was never moved forward by the councils. And then I put in the 21-22, what we were proposing. If you go down through, so I did, some of the revisions were under minor subdivision. For final plan, I reduced the fees for those lot and unit. I think I kept the other ones the same. And then also for major subdivision, what did I do? I increased those fees. I mean, try and look at how much, time and energy we put into these applications. So each year it kind of varies, but trying to figure out how to account for it. We aren't allowed to make a profit, which we never do, but that's where those revisions came from. And then when we got to the major land development, Jennifer brought this one forward, that the 200 per 5,000 square feet was just really too minimal, based on a couple of applications recently. So we were proposing the $500 for 5,000 square feet for a commercial property, a commercial unit, like these big buildings that are going in, like a 20,000 square foot building. It seemed like $2,000 for a master plan review didn't seem excessive, versus before it would have been $800. That's a lot of work that we do for that. So let's see. And then the solar, we didn't do any revisions to that. On the next page, the development plan review. I know this has been kind of a, made me rethink some of this lately, because now for every major land development, they need to undergo development or site or design review. And then asking for another $2,000 fee on top of what they're paying as a major land development seemed like that was maybe a bit excessive. So I'm trying to figure out how to word this. That, like the cheese wheel, it's because that one was a standalone that didn't fall into the category of a major land development. It seemed like that was a fair, reasonable assessment to do one that simply falls into that category under Article 20. But if it's incorporated because it's required as part of a major land development, I'm wondering if there's a way we could either nullify that or reduce it significantly, because we automatically do design review. And a lot of that is covered under the major land development part anyway, at preliminary plan. But
I guess you could say, development plan review, if not part of a major land development. I mean,
right.
That,
Right. If we could identify, I mean, I don't know if you think it's reasonable to have like a smaller fee or no fee if it's part of if we're doing it as part of major land development, an addendum, or if you want to, I mean, it seemed like that would be reasonable to be. So anyway, that was the biggest, I think, change. And then just go through the rest of these and we have a discussion. Environmental review statement, I think I increased that one because it seems like everyone we get seems to take a fair amount of our time and effort to get through. And then a reinstatement of application, I guess it had been deleted, but I put that back in there, and amended final plan. Both that one and extension of vesting period. I think for when those come before us, I mean, it's not a lot of work on our part, but it is a matter of something that has to be done. So I did reduce those because it seemed like maybe those were a bit excessive for what the work is that's required. The fees payable to the town, those are set by the state, the recording fees on the bottom. So I don't know if anybody has comments or questions, or Jennifer, if you had any other ideas of what we proposed to the council this time.
Yeah, I think the amended plan, I can understand why you took out the fee for that, because things like changing the fence on Cook Farm, when they had to come for the amendment of the plan, they also had to pay the $500 fee, and it seems somewhat excessive, but
because they still have to pay for the decision to be recorded. They still have to
right
to record new Mylars. So they do have some costs, but I mean, I don't want to do it as a giveaway because it generate work. It does generate some work, but
yes, it does.
$500 was a bit much.
I have a question.
Sure.
On the setup of the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Am I to assume that under 21, 22, the figures are not being carried forward from 2021, or they are being carried forward?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I just didn't carry them all across. I just added ones that were significant changes from the previous year. You know, the ones that we had approved and submitted last year. Like under the major land. Yeah, I guess when it's submitted to the council, I'll make sure that all those will carry through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just was identifying specific changes, I guess. From last
Yeah,
year.
so you weren't thinking that there would be no fees.
Right. Yeah, I guess those were just the proposed changes from based on what we had proposed in last year that never were approved. Hopefully we'll get them to them this year. I mean, this is the time of year we're supposed to submit them every year, and hopefully they need to advertise them so they don't go into effect until they're advertised and approved by the council. Oh, does anybody have any other questions about those? Otherwise, we'll just go through the escrow ones briefly. Okay, so the consultant engineering escrow, this is the money that we always ask for upfront with an application, so that basically it's the money that the planning board, that the planning office has to draw on for the steer inspections or any site visits, plan reviews, that kind of thing. So I guess my question was, because I wasn't sure of it before, for preliminary minor subdivision, are we calculating the amount, whether if we increase it to 2,500, if that includes both the preliminary and the final plan, rather than it being for each? I think I just need to make that clear. I think I was always kind of up in the air. It seemed like, because I know when we do minor subdivision, when we get to final plans, there's hopefully not a lot of work to do. So I don't know if maybe 2,500. I guess Kelly, if you think that that's reasonable. But the other thing about the escrow is once they zero out, if there's still more work to be done, they do have to replenish. The applicant has to replenish. The way we set it up for master plan, preliminary, final plan is so that they have like a baseline, a master plan. If they use all that money going forward into the preliminary plan, they have to bring it back up to the 5,000. So that otherwise we found historically we're always chasing applicants to pay the bills to steer. So we learned that we needed to ask for it up front. And then I guess the one that I thought maybe we should be eliminating was the business park expedited review, since now we understand it clearly that it's not a standalone. It would always be incorporated into a most likely a major land development project. So that's why I was concerned that we would delete that. As-built plans would be, yeah, if it includes a site inspection. The ERS seems like there's always multiple reviews. I don't know if 750 even covers it, but I tried to, I bumped it up a little bit. I'm sure there's always going to be resistance to any of these. And I eliminated the traffic review because it seemed like there was a point where we were going to have some of these, but we don't really. So it seemed like that was something that wasn't really necessary. And then construction site inspections would be determined at a construction meeting. So, because that really just depends on, varies from one application to the next. How big it is, or unless you think it's better to set a baseline for that. So I don't know if Kelly, if you have any thoughts on any of those, if you think those cover it as for now, we could submit those for review.
But yeah, I do think what you have there would cover it.
Okay.
The 2,500, it seems reasonable to me, at least.
Okay.
I have a question on the traffic review. I realize that the traffic review is generally reviewed by the developer or presented by the developer, but shouldn't we have some money set aside for our engineers to review it?
Well, that's what that money, I think that's what that was to review, or even to, yeah, I think that's what that was for them to review the applicants' traffic review study. But I think, it's probably just easy to incorporate it into their major land development.
You think we have enough money?
Well, I mean, they do have to replenish it. These big projects, if they go through 5,000, they have to replenish it in order to continue the review process. It's not a finite number. And at the end of it, whatever balance is left at the end of an approved final plan, the money is returned to the applicant. We don't bank any. It's kind of like a checking account. It's just a way that we collect
an escrow.
Yeah, we collect the money up front to cover the bills, any potential bills. I don't know what anybody has any other thoughts or comments on these.
Good job.
All right. Well, if not, if everybody's clear on that. I mean, Jennifer, do you think that's adequate, the 500 for 5,000 square feet? Is that what you want to go with?
Yes, I think that is, when you think about, like Bill Sales was 20,000 square feet. So that would have been $2,000, where before it was only 800. That sounds about right.
More reasonable. All right. All right, and I can make the adjustment for the development plan review to have it be that it applies only if it's not part of a major land development.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and then we'll go with the others, and then I'll draft this together with a cover sheet and submit this to the council, and hopefully this year they'll advertise it and approve it. So, okay, if there's no other changes, yeah, Stu, is that you?
So shouldn't we have a motion to
to
make a recommendation to town council?
Yeah, that was my next thing, was to make a motion.
So I'd be happy to make a motion to submit to town council the recommendation of the planning board based on your recommendation, Susan, to us tonight.
Okay, so motion to submit to town council the fees and escrow schedules for fiscal year 2021-22.
I'll second.
Okay, Rosemary second. Okay. Rosemary second. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to submit the fee and escrow schedules as presented or as amended. Any other comments? Okay, so we'll do the vote. Stu?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Rosemary?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, great. All right, so I'll get a cover sheet. I'll finalize that cover sheet and it is submit it to the clerk so we can get that submitted, and hopefully we'll have better luck this year. Get them advertised.
So Bill Smith is here.
Oh, great. Okay. All right. So I'll call item number 3. Awashonks Realty Incorporated, care of Mark DeMello, Administrative subdivision, 204 Saxony Avenue, administrative subdivision, plat 614, lots 136 and 137. 207 Saxony Avenue, east of the Massachusetts state line, R80 residential district, review and possible vote. Time clock of 65 days is June 26, 2021. Okay, so who's here for this?
Good evening. This Bill Smith from Civil Engineering Concepts. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Sorry for my delay. I was committed to Little Compton's planning board this evening, and sorry, I appreciate your indulgence.
What happens when you're in demand?
I've tried to ask them to see if they could reschedule their meeting so we didn't have a conflict every month, but that hasn't worked out yet. So
Right.
I'll keep trying.
Okay.
So we were working with Ralph Urban on this for Awashonks Realty. There's two properties. You've got lot 137 and lot 136. 136 is currently 10 acres. 137 is 27 acres. What we'd like to do is adjust the boundary line so that lot 136 becomes 3.6 acres and lot 137 now becomes 34 acres. Access to the property is via right away from Saxony Avenue. Our intent is to extend that right of way so that lot 137 has frontage. Currently, it does not have frontage or access on a paper street, so it's a landlocked parcel. So we would like to provide. Basically, the plan is an administrative subdivision. We're just realigning property lines. There's two lots now. We'll end up with two lots that conform to zoning at the end of the day. There is an existing house, septic system, and well on lot 136. That's in a nutshell, that's kind of what we're looking for, and that's the project.
Okay.
At this,
yeah, go ahead.
I know the question is going to be, well, what's going to happen with 137? And at this point, there's no specific plans to do anything there. Mark DeMello from Awashonks really wanted to create the house that was under construction for quite a while. His dad started it before he passed away, and Mark wrapped it up, and he's actually going to be sold to one of the local firemen. So this will help facilitate that.
Okay. Jennifer, I was wondering, I mean, you wrote your comments. I just wondering why, could you just explain why you refer this to the planning board?
I know that the planning board previously has asked that administrative subdivisions come to the planning board. And I felt that since these were two landlocked lots, that I would recommend them to the planning board for approval. So that's pretty much why I sent it to you for this particular application. The new lot will be will conform to zoning except for frontage, but it currently has a house on it. And I also included the permits and the on-site wastewater treatment permits from DEM, and the so that's pretty much why I brought it to the planning board.
Okay, all right.
Susan, if I could just interject, the plan that's up on your board was adjusted slightly based on a conversation I had with Jennifer. She asked me to show the building setback lines. I met with the building official in terms of determining which were front, rear, and side lines, and that was added to the plan. So just
Okay.
Yes, so these are the old These are the ones that you submitted previously, yes.
The only change was the addition of this, the building setback lines. And I think the building inspector called one of the lines a rear line, so we moved the boundary line about 5 feet to make sure that that complied with our rear yard setback.
Okay. Do any board members have questions?
I had a quick comment. It's Kelly Ravenel from Steer
sure.
Engineering. I took an incredibly quick look at this, and I just wanted to mention one very minor thing. It looks like note 2, I believe. It says assessors, reference plats, and then lots. It just says 137 and 137. I don't know if that's
okay. Good catch. I'm sorry I missed that. I can certainly make that change when we submit the Mylars.
Okay.
That's all I had. Incredibly minor.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, I had a couple things. Was I don't know if you can get some kind of title for filing, to this. I mean, administrative subdivision it doesn't really have a title in the title block to identify it, and also the purpose.
It does.
The
Administrative
purpose,
subdivision plan.
yeah, the purpose is in the certification, and it says just above the signature, it says this plan and survey were prepared to accompany an application for an administrative subdivision. You need more purpose than that.
Well, I don't know. It's that I was looking at that as that was the action. It's like, why are you doing the administrative subdivision is what I thought was the purpose. And I just don't understand why the lot line, you didn't follow the original lot line across, the top part, why he pulled it down and kind of has it not like a straight line, why he didn't continue to cross the top and then corner it down.
That's the way we were asked to do it by our client.
Oh, it's just kind of creating an odd shaped lot. And then the other thing I was looking at, because these quick claim deeds were submitted, but the question I had, I don't know, maybe Travis needs to address this. I mean, the top of it talks about Saxony Avenue, the Superior Court judgment for giving access. It has it they're recorded in books 787, pages 166 to 168, and it references a couple others. But those weren't the documents that we received. We received quick claim deeds. We didn't receive the Superior Court judgment to show. And I don't know if there's a difference in how that access easement would be written in a Superior Court judgment, just to verify that before we create these lots. Travis, I don't know if you can comment on what the difference between a Superior Court judgment versus we've been given, and in the C book page 434, page 372, these weren't the items that were submitted to us.
Yeah, we can certainly take a look at what the judgment says and make sure that the language on the deed coincides with what the judgment is. So long as the deed aligns with it, we should be fine. But we should take a look at the judgment. I would agree with that, Sue.
Right, because it's like, this is what you're citing is the legal document, but the quick claim deed is like 2-line paragraph, and we're just taking it on good faith. And because these are landlocked, I want to make sure what
the page numbers don't jive either.
No, the book and page, the books, I guess, jive, but the pages don't jive from what we were provided.
This is on the deed reference?
Yes.
Yeah, the quick claim deeds that were part of the packet. We submitted quick claim deeds.
I'm just wondering, as Susan said about the Superior Court judgment, were there any restrictions on there for this? And how far down does, I went down there today, got soaked, but how far down does Saxony go? To the top of where the cul-de-sac was, or supposed half a cul-de-sac? And there was water coming across the road.
We haven't added to the water, but basically you'll see where it's the private property signs are. That's the end of Saxony.
I'm a little leery about the you know, we've always been told that they must conform to present day zoning, and where it's not on a town accepted road, it's a right of way. So we've changed the lot lines. So should it go to the zoning board? I'm not sure. I
But
mean,
But we're not
Solicitor-
making it any less restrictive or any less non-conforming.
Not less, but you're changing it.
If you had a
Area.
substandard lot, and you made it less substandard, you could certainly do that with an administrative subdivision. And I think that's what we're doing here.
I know, I have a problem with right-of-ways, Bill, having served on.
I understand, but we don't really have much option because we don't own the land between this property and the end of Saxony. The only thing we have is a right-of-way that serves those two lots.
Right. Did I see some equipment, Mark, on the other parcel, the larger parcel near the wetland today?
Is Mark here?
Yeah, he's on the phone somewhere. He
Okay.
was. And Ralph Urban, his orientation of his plan and his locus, I'm quite different.
Well, we tried to fit it at a scale that was manageable.
I know, for one page.
I can put a north arrow on the locust plan. We have
locust-
one.
The locus has got the right.
The locust has, yeah, it actually has a north arrow on it going
It
to the
does.
top of the page. The orientation of the plan here has it going to the
Right.
to the right, and you know, I just couldn't fit it at anything smaller than 100 scale. You know,
Yeah.
because of the size of the sheets that you require.
Right. But I think I also question the purpose of it. It was to move the lot lines and, you know.
We can expound on that.
I think you should.
Okay.
What do you think, Madam Chair?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the administrative subdivision is the action, but why are you requesting to move these lot lines is the purpose? I would, I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know why you're moving lot lines. I mean,
Mark can probably speak to that, but I would think that
just wants to make the lot
they're
smaller.
trying to create a lot for you know, to sell it for the house, and they certainly didn't want to pay for an extra 5 or 6 acres, you know, to try and keep it affordable so that it, you know, it would be reasonably priced.
Right.
So, I mean, it's again, it's an administrative subdivision. We're not putting any roads in. We're not creating any additional lots. We're not making the non-conformance any worse. We've actually, I think we've made it better for lot 137 in that now it has some accessible portion to that lot. In the past, it was landlocked.
Right.
So.
Right, that seems like that's the purpose, is to create accessibility to that back lot, that other lot. So if you could just explain that.
I can certainly expound on that and try and be more descriptive in the purpose.
And then the only other question I had was, I know it's not something we would normally review with administrative subdivision, but it was submitted, was an insignificant alteration permit.
Yep.
So I don't know how that applies. It doesn't apply to administrative subdivision, but
right.
where are you altering wetlands as part
so
of
that was associated with the construction and the finishing up of the existing house. So we had a wetland permit previously when constructed, and it lapsed because the house sat for an extended period of time, and Mark wanted to finish up the house, so we had to refresh the wetlands permit, which we did. So we've got, you know, the construction.
Was it in the buffer? Is that why? Because it's not in the wetlands.
So it was
part of the buffer.
We were close enough that DEM, when they were reviewing the septic system, asked us to go back to wetlands and get that re-permitted or refreshed.
Oh, okay. All right. I just didn't know if there were some wetlands that weren't shown somewhere or whatever.
No,
okay. All right.
And this portion of the wetland is really, it's a stream channel that doesn't have a buffer zone or perimeter wetland. But being overly being cautious, the septic system group at DEM asked us to get wetland sign off on that.
Okay. All right.
So Bill, you'll be supplying us with a copy of the Superior Court judgment?
Yes. Can
Okay.
can
And
I?
the other, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, please ask your questions.
The other thing was, it's paved down there. It says gravel here, but there's some pavement.
Well, the pavement is actually on the other property.
On the other property?
It's on the Avo property, which is where the right-of-way comes through. When it gets to the Awashong's property, it is not paved with gravel.
I think it is. I was on it today.
Okay.
It's a very nice house. I was on the Pavo property by error, and I didn't get shot, but it seems to go through.
Okay. My recollection was that it did not, and I'll make that adjustment if that's in fact the case.
Well, maybe go out and look.
I will. I mean, the survey was done a while ago, so there may have been something that I was unaware of, but okay, so pavement.
Check the pavement.
Copy of the Superior Court judgment.
Purpose.
And purpose.
Right.
And it is.
And note 2. Note 2.
Yeah.
Correcting the
Note 2, the deed reference.
lots. Yeah, the lot.
The lot number is correct. We can certainly do that. Is that something that we can submit to Susan, or does it have to come back before the full board?
Since this was sent to us, I think it could come back to us for approval.
Susan, I just want to interrupt for a second. I think that Craig Comito is here. He is the gentleman, I believe, that is trying to buy the property. If you would like to speak, I know that he has come into my office and said that he is waiting in a hotel room, waiting for this administrative subdivision. So I don't know if you'd like to hear from him first. Is that correct, Craig?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes. Yeah, did you want to address the board?
Yeah, I'd like to address the board. So yes, I am waiting for a mortgage. And 2, I do not have a paved road. It is a gravel road. And then as you get closer to my house, it's a stone road. There is no gravel. The gravel or the tar goes from the end of Saxony up to the Pavos. And then when you come off of Pavo's paved road, then I go to a gravel road that is not tarred.
Okay, thank you.
So you're proposing to purchase the property, the house, on 136?
Yep, 204 Saxony.
But you don't own it now, correct?
Correct. I'm trying to get the mortgage. I don't want to pay for the 10 or 12 acres. So I came to an agreement with Mark on 3.5 acres. And that's where we're trying to get at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, our legal counsel has advised us to get the wording on the Superior Court judgment to make sure that this is legal access and easement. I don't know how the board feels on this. If you want to do this, I don't know if we could do conditional administrative subdivision approval, if it's all.
Yeah, I think so, certainly.
Up and up, and then we could have it finalized, but if not, it would have to come back to the board for a vote, I guess, for discussion. Is that how it would go? I mean, can you do conditional administrative subdivisions?
No, I've never heard it.
No.
Could you give Jennifer and Susan authorization to review the changes and then approve it? This typically doesn't have to go back to the board.
It came to the board.
Right, but it can go back to the planner, right?
Well, I mean, I would want the legal court judge to go back to have Travis review it to make sure that that access easement right of way says what it needs to say in order to provide them, functional access to this property. Otherwise, we're creating lots that don't have access.
I have
They
to
don't
agree
have
with
them now.
on that one.
Sorry, what, Amanda?
Oh, sorry. I agree with you, Susan. I think it would be better to make sure of the access.
Right, and what I'm suggesting is that we would look at the language, look at the judgment, make sure the deed has the correct language. And then at that point, it would, if it's been approved contingent on that, then I believe Jen would have the ability to finish the write-off on it.
Right. I'm willing to do that because I always once the decision is written, I review the plans to make sure the required changes are on there, what we could do. I mean, I think what we need to do is just cite it as a I don't know, you do it as a conditional administrative subdivision approval, but saying, it's approved with the following changes required prior to recording. I don't know if that would be the way to go about this. I would rather.
I don't see anything wrong with that, with giving a conditional approval for that.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to err on the
Makes
side
sense to me.
of caution. Otherwise, once we approve it, it's recorded, it becomes a moot point regarding what the easement agreement says. It seems like, or could become a potential court issue, civil issue in the future. So I'm trying to do that.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
So what easement agreement are we worried about?
On the plan, it cites Superior Court judgments.
Right.
Give access through that other lot.
Right.
But the quick claim deeds that were submitted to the planning board are not those documents. So we just want to verify the language in the Superior Court judgment that gives you access to that property. And that would be in your best interest as well.
No, right. I wouldn't go into purchase. So I wouldn't go into purchasing a house if that language wasn't correct. And I have read the language, and it does give access to the lot.
Right. Oh, that's good. I mean, your title company and all that, but as a planning board, we just want to make sure that we're doing what's the right course of action too.
Right.
So,
My understanding was Jennifer was I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
My understanding was. Sorry.
Go ahead. Your turn.
My understanding was Jennifer was going to put through a letter of recommendation that she agreed that the administrative subdivision was okay. That's what she had told me. So I don't know how it changed, but that's okay.
She referred it to us, Meadow.
Right.
Yeah, I recommended that you approve it, but it's up to the board.
Right. If it was referred to us, it's up to the planning board to do the approval and allow for the recording.
Okay.
Okay, so what we needed to do is, let's see if I can get this right. A motion to approve this administrative subdivision if it meets the following, what is it? If it meets the following, we need some help with language here. It meets the following changes. Okay, so the things that it requires is I wanted to have review by the solicitor of the Superior Court judgment for language for access. We wanted to have a clear definition of the purpose of this administrative subdivision. And we needed correction of note 2. I guess identifying the lots involved.
And change the page numbers. on the,
Well, those page numbers, if those are the ones that are recorded,
right.
those might be the correct references. They're not the ones that we received. So I think, Travis, what you would need to do is review all those that are cited at the top of the plan, all those books and pages. So as long as those items were corrected and approved to the satisfaction of the solicitor, the administrative officer, and the planning board chairman, this administrative subdivision would be approved. And
So Susan, I'll make that motion.
I think that was everything, right? Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I leave something out.
Well,
Was that everything?
Well, if I may, I thought we asked Bill to go out and check on, even though Mr. Comito says it about the, he hadn't seen this plan and the property in a while, check on that, what
I
I
will go-
call blacktop.
I'll go by tomorrow and just confirm.
Okay.
If there's any
All right.
change to my plan, I'll reflect it on the plan.
Okay.
All right, and update the,
So I'll amend my motion to include Rosemary's suggestion about checking on the asphalt.
yeah, update, that'd be the driveway surface.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have the legal documents, the purpose, the
Correction to note 2
correction to note 2, and
and the pavement.
the surface of the material of the driveway on the parcel. All right, so that's Stu, that's the motion.
Mhm.
And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, okay,
It's a nice house, Craig.
all right, so once we have
Thank you.
fulfilled all
It's a
the,
big house.
then we can go through and.
Lifelong dream.
Yeah, all right. So if there's no more comments or questions, I'll call the vote. Stu,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Janice,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Rosemary,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so that's 6. All right. All right, so, okay, I don't know, Travis, do you want them to provide you with the documents, or are you gonna do the research?
I can pull them. Just the judgment, the court judgment, sometimes it doesn't, you can't get it on the e-filing docket. If they could provide that, that would be helpful. But
All right.
the recorded documents I can review online.
All right, so when you have all that, if you review it and provide Jennifer with the information, then we can move forward with this.
I will provide a written statement on it. Yep.
Madam Chair, if it's not too long, I think that should be in the file. A copy of that judgment should go in the file.
Oh,
along
yes.
with the other
Yeah,
documents.
yeah.
I'll provide it to the planning board.
Great.
Okay, all right, that would be great. Okay, all right, so hopefully we'll get this done for you in less than a month.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Well, I don't know, it depends on how long it takes for all this stuff to get done. I mean, if it gets done in a week, it'll be done in a week. The decision
Yeah,
has.
but my life needs to go on. I need a mortgage.
Oh.
Who said oh like that? That's terrible.
Yeah.
Who said that?
We'll expedite this as quickly as we can get it done.
Okay, but who just said that? Who was so unprofessional and said that?
I don't know.
You gotta be kidding me.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna move along. We'll do the best. We'll get this done for you as quickly as we can. All right.
Real professional. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item is Watershed Realty, care of Mark DeMello, Mill Street Administrative Subdivision, Plat 102, lots 252 and 326, Mill Street and 425 Judson Street, R30 Residential District. Review and possible vote. Time clock of 65 days is June 26th, 2021. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Can you pull that one up? Okay. All right, so who do we have here again for this?
Good evening, Bill Smith from Civil Engineering Concepts, representing Washington Realty. We worked with National Surveyors Norbert Therian in putting this plan together. What we're asking for is expanding lot 326 from 29,000 square feet to 59,000 square feet, with a slight reduction from lot 252 from 6.4 acres to 5.8 acres. The property has frontage on Mill Street. The lot 325 has frontage on Judson and Mill Street. There is an existing duplex on lot 252. Lot 326 is vacant. Excuse me, with the exception of a small shed that's to be removed.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
So Bill, same question as before. What is the purpose of this administrative subdivision? Why are you moving that lot line?
So the part of the problem is that Judson Street is undeveloped in that portion where it has frontage. Very steep. To try and put a road in there for access to this property would be extremely costly and difficult. Typically, your front yard is the one with the longest frontage. So by expanding that, Mill Street now becomes the frontage for this lot, which is a much simpler and easier access into that lot 326.
So we can expect a building to be put there, perhaps another duplex?
Possibly, yes. Yep.
Possibly. Okay, thank you.
Bill, can you show us on the plan? I see the existing southerly property line on lot 326, but did you go out and put that little 89-foot jog up at the top?
No, that was existing.
That was there. And is that where you enter onto this lot?
Well, you really, you enter from either Judson Street, which is by walking in the grass in the woods, or you go on Mill Street to enter it.
Mill Street would be inaccessible, but like you say, it's so steep.
Judson is steep. Mill is certainly much easier to pass.
Right. So if you're coming in on Judson Street, how far down is it unimproved?
The entire length of the frontage on this lot is unimproved. Judson Street. Mill Street is improved. That has a paved road in front of it.
Yeah, but I mean, when you go to enter this property, when you build a house here, what's your access going to be?
Well, it would be Mill Street. I guess it could be Judson Street, but typically, if the way the lot is shaped now, we would have to, and the way the regulations are, that you have to, on a paper street, you have to improve the street to town standards.
Yeah.
And it's virtually impossible to do that on Judson Street because of the steepness.
Right, coming in from Mill, but if you came from the developed portion of...
Well, the developed portion of Judson is quite a bit to the west.
Okay, I was down there today too, and I couldn't see coming in at all from Mill Street onto that property. I didn't go up to the, around up to the top of Judson Street to see how far it went down. It was raining.
I mean, ideally, the driveway may come in from that intersection, the Judson Mill intersection, and kind of come in and then loop towards the south.
Really? Okay.
But we, the house is not going to be way up in the back on that lot because of the steepness that's there.
Okay. All right. So that pushes it to the south, and there's a note. It says parcel A to be joined with lot 326. Where's parcel B?
Well, there is no parcel B. Parcel A is what's cut out of lot 252. So that parcel, what parcel A is referred to is the land that's being acquired by 326.
All right.
Is Rick still here? Rick Rogers? He's still around?
Yes, Rick is still here.
Yeah, I don't know if this really pertains to this point, but do you see any issues with providing a curb cut for that lot once it's created? The smaller one? Because I assume Mill Street would be a town road.
I don't see a issue as long as it has good enough visibility. I haven't been to the site, but I certainly have been up Mill Street previously, doing stormwater mitigation inspections. I don't particularly see an issue with that at all, as long as the site, the sight line is sufficient.
And that's something we'd have to work out through the building permit process.
Right, okay. All right.
I have another issue, a question actually, Bill, on where the duplex is built. There's a driveway coming in off of after the bend. It's not shown here on the plan.
This plan is a little bit dated. It was done in 2020. So that driveway was added after the plan.
It comes in after the curb. I think it says a drill hole there, and there's a mailbox, 2 mailboxes there, and then there's a driveway there. And it looks as though to access the back property, you might be starting. What's gonna be the future of the back property? Do you know?
No idea at this point.
Okay, because you've got to go under the electric easement.
Right, yes.
I think Doug was trying to speak, but Doug, you are unmuted. I mean, you're muted.
Doug.
I mean, Mark, excuse me.
Oh, I was like, who's Doug?
Sorry, Mark.
Oh, Mark?
If you want to, he's raising his hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't see.
But I can't, he's muted. So.
Oh.
Also, if I can continue with Bill, on the duplex, I think maybe somebody's living in it. I don't think it's under construction. I don't know, but there were two recycle bins and a trash.
Yes, I believe you are correct that it's occupied, and I will take the words under construction off of there.
And put in that.
And to show the driveway.
Yeah, and it's,
Okay. Is Mark, did you want to comment? No? Okay.
And a purpose on this one too, right?
Yeah, I feel like the purpose is to create that lot is going to be now a conforming lot, right? Because before it was a non-conforming lot, it didn't have access to a public street.
Right, it didn't have reasonable access to.
Right. So by creating this administrative subdivision, this lot now is a conforming lot. And for an R30 zone, and it's got access to a public street. I think like it's a very.
Again, this you mentioned purpose. This does have a purpose over by the signature page.
Test 1, 2.
Mark?
Yep. Can anybody hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get on all night. I'm sorry about that all. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I mean, you're talking about the driveway coming in. It's coming off Mill Street. It's on the straightaway.
Yeah.
It's on the most northerly part to where Justice Street is. So it's not, it's not something extremely high. It's right. It's probably going to be the elevation of the top of foundation, maybe 10, 12 feet taller than higher than Mill Street itself. Maybe lower. I know you guys are up around up way up around the corner and everything else. We're not there.
No. For that one, yeah. But we're talking about the other one where your duplex is too.
Right. That one's up and around the corner and straight into it,
Right.
correct?
Right. It doesn't show on this plan. But
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just trying to answer the question for the driveway. That's why I'm kind of just, it's on the straightaway. It's not up on the, it's on the main,
right.
the main part of Mill Street.
Okay. A lot of contour lines on here, and it's very rocky down there, Mark.
I love a challenge. See my last challenge, how nice it came out?
So just to try to sum up here, I think that we would like to see a purpose for the proposed administrative subdivision, which
the purpose is
which Bill has explained to us, but if we could get that in writing, that would be nice. And in addition to that, I think we would like to see the driveway for the larger lot where the existing duplex has now been built. But it would be nice to.
But if you
to have on
right now right now, I mean we're taking what it's at now. I thought it was gonna be a nice easy one because it didn't make any sense trying to go up that little street to put Judson, to do Judson.
Mark, this is for the existing duplex that he's asking to show the
I'm
existing
sorry. I'm
driveway.
gonna get a bad connection.
The plan was done before the driveway went in, so it doesn't show that.
This is the existing driveway for the existing duplex. If we could.
Sorry about that.
Just show that on the plan. I believe that those were the two changes we'd like to see. And if we can agree on that, then we can go ahead and authorize the chair, the AO, and legal counsel to make sure that these changes have been satisfactorily made. We can approve the administrative subdivision tonight with that understanding that
sure.
These changes will be made and approved by the AO, the legal counsel, and the chair before recording. So Rosemary, did I miss Rosemary or Susan? Did I miss anything that we mentioned?
No, I think that's what we're looking for is the purpose, the driveway, and removing that the house, the duplex is under construction. It's an existing, and if maybe you could put the square footage.
That is existing. Both are sold.
Right, if you could put, if you could put like the footprint, square foot. So just so it's recorded, for the recorded plan.
Okay.
That way when it goes and it's recorded, it just shows those items.
Sure, we can add that.
Okay, so we'll just make sure that those are done. So do we have a motion to approve this?
I will move to approve the administrative subdivision with the understanding, with the authorization that to the chair, the AO, and the legal counsel to make sure that those details are taken care of.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It's Amanda. Okay. Can I get the full screen back? Makes it easier for my roll call. Thanks.
There we go.
There we go. Need the names. I need the prompting. All right, so go ahead. Is there any other discussion on this item before we vote? Okay, Stu?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Rosemary?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, great. All right, congratulations.
Thank you all.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, Phil, you can get
Thank you.
this to Jennifer, then we can.
Yep, we'll do. I'll chase those tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very
Have a
much.
nice evening.
All right, you too. Okay. So let's go back to, item 5D, Article 20. So I put this together because I think for newer members, with things that have been going on down Four Corners and all that. If it's not clear, if it's confusing, because it is kind of a confusing course of things. I wanted to I pulled out from Article 20, development plan review, the basics of it, what things qualify for development plan review and why. So the first section, I mean, you guys can read, obviously, but the purpose and where it's found in Rhode Island general law is the statutory authority for development plan review. The thing I like it says it's designed to provide a cooperative and collaborative design process between the applicant and the town. And that's the purpose of it. It's not to give people a hard time. It's not to make life difficult for them. But it's to ensure that, you know, as we drive around town and we have things, the buildings that we see, we don't cringe every time we go past them. And that they fit with the neighborhood or the town process in general. So then the second section, sections 2 and 3, they pulled out were the general provisions and applicability. So there's two aspects to it. There's the design review and there's the site review. When they look at site review, it basically falls under two categories, and that's based on square footage of how much the footprint of the building is. So whether it's 2,000 to 5,000 square feet or if it's 5,000 square feet or greater. And looking at that, the difference is that if it's a larger building, it also applies to an expansion or construction of a non-conforming use in a residential zoning district. That's one area where, and I think when I read through this too, I mean, it's like, and working with it, you start to see where loopholes and problem areas are that need to be worked on with this ordinance because of things that kind of keep coming up. So then we get to design review. That's the biggest thing that seems to be applying to us, that every major land development, commercial development, as part of their preliminary plan process is supposed to undergo design review. Or in the case of like the cheese wheel shop, that was an addition to an existing commercial building that came to us for design review. And it sets up specific criteria. It talks about, you know, expanding the footprint, but the one that keeps coming at us the most is, which is a specific qualifier, so that if anything in these areas are done, then it needs to be referred to us for review. So when there's new construction, expansion, or any exterior physical alterations of a commercial or mixed-use building, or any site alterations within the village commercial zoning district, which is Tiverton Four Corners, it is required by zoning ordinance to come before the planning board for design review. And that's why I've been on a tear lately, because this is what's not happening. And if we're here to serve the town, we're here to serve the best interest of the development of the village commercial Four Corners district. This ordinance needs to be enforced and upheld and not subjectively granted or waived to applicants, depending on if you like what they're doing or you don't like what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, cheese wheel was, and this is the area where it most commonly happens. So cheese wheel came to us as part of the initial process. So that worked. The ceramics people didn't come to us because they weren't directed correctly. So they've come to us after the fact. And I know now there's ongoing work down in Four Corners that should have come to us, and it's going the same road as the ceramics project. And I find this, this needs to be enforced. So anyway, so these are the criteria that, you know, and I didn't put all the specifics because then it outlines it in that ordinance, what all the design criteria are. You know, it's landscaping, it's lighting, it's signage, it's I don't know, traffic, it's safety and all that. And then that's kind of outlined in here, but that's the reason for it. And I think it's an important, part of what the planning board needs to be doing. And I think we just have to be careful not to be selective in who we're enforcing it with. Because it's a zoning ordinance. And it does require some referral to us, but I think we do have to be active participants in this. So then it went through the section 4 is the application and review procedure. So it just very clearly states that the application is reviewed by the planning board and an ad hoc TRC. And, that we could determine if, it requires a public hearing or not. And then approval by the planning board may be conditional upon any approvals are required. It says no building permit shall be issued by the building official or any activity required by the development plan review until approval is received from the planning board. And that was the step that was missed for the ceramics people. I know we've had a lot of different zoning officials, but they need to become very well versed in this ordinance so that we don't keep having missteps like this, because we end up being the bad guys in the process. And the other thing, and it says modifications or revisions to final plans and documents shall be approved in accordance with the review procedure herein. Then we come to the bugaboo. It says again, minor changes may be approved by the administrative officer with the concurrence of the building official. So I don't know what we do with that, because again, we have minor changes and what are considered minor changes in the process. And then the last item was the enforcement is the zoning officer, because it's a zoning ordinance. So I know I kind of went through this quickly, but I think, it's been kind of coming at us lately, these whole design reviews, and people would throw out Article 20, development plan review, and for newer members, if you haven't seen a lot of it, I just wanted to provide an overview of why we do it, what are the criteria for when we do it, and what our responsibilities are. So I think this article still does need work. There's things in there that could stand to be revised. So I don't know if anybody has any comments or questions. I don't know if I can answer them, but I just wanted to at least present this information to everybody so that you had a better projects are coming to us.
Susan, this is Rick. Are you all set with me?
Okay. Yeah, Rick.
Yes. Are you all set with me?
Yeah, I was just realizing, I know it's like, yeah. Thanks. Sorry, we didn't have call on you a lot tonight, but
No,
thank you. For
okay.
coming. All right. Good night.
No, my pleasure. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Rick.
Good night. So I guess that's all I had to say about it. I just wanted to present it. So I'm done. Okay. So the last one, item E, is town council ordinance to authorize planning board to approve subdivision regulations. I put that on there. I was hoping that Mike had presented something to the council, but he hasn't. And the issue with this is, that we can't, all the subdivision regulations that we've revised that are kind of on hold right now, including the cistern subdivision regulation that the council wanted altered or on hold, I guess, until this ordinance is written, and the council needs to approve the ordinance granting the planning board the authority to amend subdivision regulations. The council has to approve that, advertise it. They have to have a public hearing on it. And until they do that, and it comes back to us, we can't take a regulation amendments. So I was just trying to nudge the process along with this, but no action's been taken that I know of. Do you know of anything, Travis? Have you been asked to put something together to present to the council?
I have not. I know Mike's working on that. I am familiar with the statute and familiar with the reason why we're doing it, but I don't know if Mike has presented anything to the council yet.
I mean, the sooner it happens, it's the better. So
Yeah, absolutely.
anyway, yeah, just trying to keep things moving. Otherwise, the council will forget about it. It'll go on their back burner, and then we'll be sitting here with, not being able to do our work. So, okay. All right. I don't think I had anything else. I think, let's see, when is the next meeting is June, is it June 1st? I guess that's
No, I
the
think
first.
we made
Oh,
it
no,
June 8th.
no, it's probably delayed to the 8th. I don't know where the
Yes.
calendar is.
It is the 8th,
Yeah, because of Memorial Weekend. Yeah.
Memorial Day.
Changed it, didn't have it. So the next meeting will be June 8th, our regular time. So we'll see how far we get along. So
Well, we'll
at
have a
this
big
point,
agenda then.
there's nothing.
Sorry.
Jennifer.
Sorry.
Okay. I know this was our little one, and it's like, I know all these
Yes.
big things come through. It's like, that's why if we can get stuff done before, as much as we can, through TRCs and all that, it's better than to have it clog up the meeting agenda, because we'll never get through it. So, okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Amanda, okay, at 8:41. Wow, it's a record. Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.